What happens when you decide to invest exactly $5 every single day for an entire year? Let us find out together today. Welcome back to Pete Invests. I wanted to see if small daily habits could truly build meaningful wealth without requiring a massive salary. $5 might not seem like much. Most people spend that on a morning coffee without even giving it a second thought anyway. But if you redirect that exact same amount into the stock market daily, it completely transforms your financial trajectory over the long run. Over the last 365 days, I tested this exact strategy myself to see the real, unvarnished financial results in practice. By consistently setting aside this tiny amount daily, you end up contributing a total of $1,825 yearly. The first step was setting up an automated transfer from my checking account to my brokerage account every single morning before I woke. Automation is the absolute key here, because relying on pure willpower to manually transfer money every single day will eventually lead to failure. Next, I had to decide exactly where to put this money. I focused entirely on buying fractional shares of strong, reliable individual companies. Buying fractional shares means you do not need hundreds of dollars to own a piece of a highly profitable, globally recognized blue-chip business. I researched solid businesses paying consistent dividends with a strong history of growing their earnings year after year without taking on massive risks. In the first few weeks, the progress felt incredibly slow. Seeing a balance of $35 after a week was not exactly thrilling. It's very easy to get discouraged early on when your portfolio balance is small and daily market fluctuations barely move the needle. However, the goal of this experiment was never to get rich quick. It was to build an unstoppable habit of paying myself first. By month 2, my cash balance crossed $300. Suddenly, this did not feel like a silly little pocket change experiment anymore. I started receiving tiny dividend payments from the companies I owned. We are talking pennies at first, but it felt incredibly rewarding regardless. Those pennies were immediately reinvested right back into buying more fractional shares, adding another layer of automated growth to my steadily increasing portfolio. Around month 3, the market took a massive dip. My portfolio was suddenly showing a loss, and human nature urged me to panic. But because I was only putting in $5 a day, the fear was completely manageable. I simply kept buying at lower prices. This is the beauty of dollar cost averaging on a daily basis. You automatically buy more shares when prices drop, lowering your average cost. As spring turned into summer, my total invested amount crossed the halfway mark of $900. The discipline was firmly established now. I no longer missed that $5. My lifestyle had completely adjusted to living without it, proving that micro-investing is entirely painless financially. Instead of buying junk food or unnecessary subscriptions, I was actively purchasing ownership stakes in companies whose products I use every single day. This mental shift is perhaps the greatest benefit. You transform from a mindless consumer into a calculated owner who values long-term asset accumulation. Let us talk about the specific types of stocks I targeted. I looked for businesses with massive competitive advantages and strong balance sheets. I avoided highly speculative tech startups and focused strictly on established giants in healthcare, consumer goods, and technology with proven revenue generation models. By diversifying across different sectors, I protected my growing nest egg from devastating losses if one specific industry experienced a sudden economic downturn. Month 8 arrived, and my portfolio crossed $1,200. The dividend payouts were now enough to actually buy a full coffee. But I did not buy the coffee. I kept reinvesting every single cent, letting the compound growth mechanics work their absolute magic uninterrupted. Compounding growth happens when your earnings generate their own earnings. It is a mathematical phenomenon that accelerates your wealth creation over long periods. Watching this process unfold with my own money was fascinating. The growth curve slowly starts bending upward the longer you stay consistently invested. Many people believe they need thousands of dollars to start investing, which leaves them paralyzed on the sidelines waiting for the perfect moment. This experiment completely destroys that myth. Action creates momentum, and even the smallest daily contributions will eventually add up to a substantial fortune. Let us look at the actual numbers as we approached the end of the year. The overall market had a generally positive upward trend. Because I bought consistently through the dips and the peaks, my average cost per share was positioned perfectly to capture the market recovery. I checked the portfolio app on day 300, and I was sitting on $1,500 of my own hard-earned contributed capital. Add in the capital appreciation from the individual stocks going up in value, plus the reinvested dividends, and the total was noticeably higher. It is crucial to remember that investing always carries risk. Some of my individual stock picks actually lost money over this time frame, unfortunately. However, the winners in my portfolio completely outpaced the losers. This highlights the importance of not putting all your eggs in one basket. As we entered the final month of the challenge, I reflected on how easy this entire process had been once the automation began. I spent 0 hours stressing over charts, analyzing complex financial reports, or trying to time the unpredictable daily movements of the stock market. The strategy requires absolute minimal effort. You set the rules once, and the technology handles the heavy lifting for you every single day. Day 365 finally arrived. It was time to log into the brokerage account and tally up the final results objectively. My total out-of-pocket contribution was exactly $1,825. That is the foundational bedrock of my financial discipline entirely. The total portfolio value, however, stood at $2,114. That represents a very solid return on my money. I essentially generated almost $300 of free wealth simply by changing what I did with a $5 bill every morning consistently. Think about what happens if you scale this up. What if you invested $10 a day or $20 a day instead? The principles remain exactly the same. Time in the market paired with relentless consistency will always outperform erratic trading and emotional financial decisions. You might be wondering if you should try this exact strategy yourself. The answer depends entirely on your current financial situation and goals. If you have high-interest credit card debt, it is always mathematically smarter to aggressively pay that off before you start investing daily amounts. But if you are debt-free and struggling to find ways to build wealth, this micro-investing challenge is the absolute perfect starting point today. It forces you to build the muscle of saving and investing without causing massive disruptions to your current lifestyle or monthly household budget. Once you see the balance grow past $1,000, a psychological switch flips. You become addicted to watching your net worth increase. You will naturally start finding other areas in your life where you can cut unnecessary expenses to fund your growing investment portfolio faster. The $5 a day is just the training wheels. It teaches you the fundamentals of asset allocation, dividend reinvestment, and emotional control. After successfully completing this 365-day challenge, I have no intention of stopping the daily automated transfers. The habit is permanently ingrained now. In fact, I plan to increase the daily amount to $10 for year 2 to see how much faster the portfolio scales. Wealth creation is a marathon, not a sprint. It is about laying down one brick at a time until you finally build a fortress. I hope this breakdown shows you that financial freedom is accessible to almost anyone willing to exercise a tiny bit of daily discipline. You do not need a massive inheritance or a six-figure salary to start taking control of your financial future and building real wealth. Start small, automate the process, choose high-quality individual companies, and let time do the heavy lifting for your portfolio over the coming decades. If you found this experiment helpful, please consider applying these principles to your own life and watch how your financial mindset completely transforms. Remember to always do your own research before buying any specific stocks, as my portfolio choices were tailored to my personal risk tolerance. We cover actionable personal finance strategies just like this one every single week here on Pete Invests to help you grow your money. Creating systems that protect you from your own worst spending impulses is the ultimate secret to achieving long-term financial stability and true independence. $5 a day changed my perspective entirely. It proved that consistency will absolutely conquer massive, sporadic, and unpredictable efforts every single time. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to start investing. The perfect moment was yesterday, but the second best time to start is today. Open a brokerage account, set up that $5 daily recurring transfer, and commit to the process for one entire year without stopping once. I promise you will be amazed at the results when day 365 finally arrives and you see your final balance. Thank you so much for watching Pete Invests today. Keep saving, keep investing consistently, and I will see you right here next time.